Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where I talk about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the season premiere of In the Dark, a great season premiere. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. I've talked about this before, but I really like it when a show literally takes, the new season takes place literally moments after the previous season, so I always think that's kind of an interesting thing. Even that crazy thing of Nia walking down a hallway and complimenting Joy and everything, and it's just and I love that Joy immediately took it as oh yeah, I think that woman was hitting on me. I mean, she was almost oh, it happens all the time. So, but obviously Murphy's still reeling with all that. It's nah, Mom, I'm good. You can go. And obviously she goes to try and meet up with Felix and Jess. And I love that they're talking to Chelsea because Chelsea's oh my God, this stuff with Dean, I can't believe I had a murderer all over me. And Felix is being yeah, I don't think anyone else can really understand what you've been through. And Jess is yeah, what about Murph? And he's oh yeah, of course. But he's I'm in awe of the strength of a woman. And Jess is really kind of it is kind of messed up because it seems like you're trying to take advantage of the situation, Felix, which you super are. Which even last season I was kind of seemed like Felix and Chelsea. I thought that would kind of be a thing. Maybe this is kind of hinting towards that. Maybe not. We'll see. But Murphy kind of explaining the whole thing about what's going down. And I love the whole situation of Jess is against it, and so is Murphy, but man, oh man, it's Felix I mean, we can still, do this, and they're what? We'd be laundering money for a criminal? It's yeah, almost kind of oh, let's weigh the pros and cons. It's really, Felix? I even love Jess being she's the expert on this, because she's I've seen the Ozark, which I'm yes, for Ozark drop, but the fact is that she was it's really bad, and Murphy's the show? And she's no, the stuff that happens, which I'm yeah, because Ozark is great. Dude, Ozark is so damn good. I mean, I love that Ozark is probably now the go-to when it comes to anytime you probably reference money laundering now, you're always going to probably have to reference Ozark. That's what I feel but nevertheless. But, and the sad thing is, because even Felix admits it, the main reason why he's doing all this is because he wants to prove his mom wrong about him being a failure. So that's more so what this is. It's a prideful thing. It's not even doing it's about guiding hope, because obviously he hears about guiding hope, but it's also you kind of got your own reasons for it. But it's kind of all right, who votes that we turn the money, or try to return the money to Nia? Jess and Murphy raise their hand, and I love Felix being oh, looks Jess didn't put up her hand. Looks like you're the only one, Murphy. I was that's a dick move to do. But nevertheless, them having to get the money out of his bank account, and the fact is the guy who got ran over being oh, my bones are all broken. It's that's not possible. My head probably hurt wearing a helmet. I'm bleeding so badly on this scrape on my knee. Yeah, it's going to take $10,000. I was oh God. I mean, part of me was worried because I'm well, don't you guys know that it's when you pay someone off like that, that basically they're more likely to come back for more later on until you get further and further into this type of situation. That's how extortion works. But I guess a good enough pay at the beginning is fine. But I mean, I guess he doesn't have your information, so. I even love that Felix is no, I know you have the money, because it's you say you put about around 10% of your paycheck into your account, so that you've been working. I know how much you make, and you've been working at Guiding Hope for 3 years, so you got $11,000 in the account. Just is kind of looking okay, Rain Man. I love that. She just kind of, it's and she actually had to pull the money out of her account to pay the dude off. I even love that I was isn't that going to be an issue? And the dude's signing an IRS thing. I'm yeah. Because banks take notice of when you take out sums of $10,000 or more. I'm none of you thought of that? Even Felix with his lawyer degree, having studied law and stuff like that, I would think you would know something like that. But I'm yeah, I was I guess they were just such a hurry, they didn't really think about it. It's so that's going to obviously become a plot point later on and kind of come back and haunt them. And oh, what'd you pull this $10,000 out for? Because that's probably going to when criminal stuff kind of looks, when stuff starts looking a little more criminal in their lane, it's probably going to be a situation of we noticed that you poured out a sum of $10,000 all at once. What was that about? Can't necessarily be well, I guess you could tell the truth, but it's you don't know the dude's name and stuff like that, so you can't be yeah, this dude was extorting us for money, so that, so that's a lane they can't go. It's going to be interesting to see how they end up bringing that story back line, that whole aspect around. They try to drop the money off to Nia, in the locker and everything, but they can't because she refuses, and her right hand is kind of nah, pulls a gun on Murphy and like, yeah, you want to finish that statement? Okay, good. Launder the money like we asked you to. So, because obviously they can't use that locker anymore because of the whole Dean situation, which Dean called up Nia and was like, oh, help me out, which she was like, no. It seemed more so than anything, rather than the whole Tyson thing, it's like, it seems like she's not as mad about, oh, you killed a kid. It's more so like, you killed one of my people without my permission. And it's more so like, oh, and you lied to me, like, we have trust and stuff like that. I guess it's like, if you had told me you had taken care of it, I mean, to be fair, you know, Dean's done a lot of stuff that make it seem like, oh, he's done it out of concern. Like, you know, it's not even like he took care of Tyson because of Nia. He did it for his own reasons. Same thing with the whole Jules thing, which we'll get to that. But man, oh man, that freaking dude. Like, Dean, we all know Dean was scummy just to begin with already, sure, but it's like, it's even worse now. I'm like, you are even more of a scummy dude than you were before. It's like, and that's hard to raise the bar considering where you were at. The fact of the matter is, he's pleading his case. He's like, Tyson, it was acting. It was like almost trying to make it seem like it was self-defense. It's not even a kid's fault. It was Nia. She had him peddling since he was 15. I'm like, are you serious? And because his captain or whatever, his lieutenant, captain, whatever, is listening to this BS because it's like he doesn't want the optics to fall back on him because like Dean's situation, it's not like the recordings are not admissible in court, but if it got, because it would be public record and that would be enough to destroy his career and everything, but it would look bad on him because he's like, oh, it happened under my watch. So it's like everyone in that situation is looking out for themselves. I'm like, that's such a shitty thing to do. He killed a kid. He killed a 17-year-old and you're acting like it's nothing. And it's just kind of like, all right, we'll delete all the stuff. You get us Nia, which is like, you're only trying to take down Nia to save your own ass, but also I'm sure it's retribution for the fact is when you were in trouble, Nia left you high and dry, which is like, I mean, let's not forget, he made Nia think that Jules was after her. It's like, Jules wasn't even worried about building a case against you. She was worried about building a case against Dean. And if she knew that truth, like Neil probably would have cut Dean loose and been like, he's too much heat on him right now. Let's cut him loose. My case kind of got settled, so I don't need to worry about like having Dean around would have been an issue and a mistake. So, but it's like, it's retribution in a regard, you know. It's like, oh, you want to leave me high and dry? Well, I'm taking you down. I'm sure he's probably going to be like, no, I'm still with you. Like, the fact of the matter is everything got cleared up. He's probably going to, and that's going to suck because now Murphy and them work for her now. So it's a situation of like, he'll probably build up a case against them. And then it's like, Murphy's going to have to clash with it. It's like, oh, he's going to get on her about the bad stuff she's done. But now it's like, wait, what? Really? All the bad stuff you've done, you piece of crap? Like, dude, I can see it in the stars. It's like that, and it's going to be like the suckiest thing when it happens, just because it's like, Dean is such a lying, manipulative beast. Even in the privacy of just him and Murphy. Oh, he doesn't, I mean, of course, because he's not stupid enough to admit anything else. He's like, I thought you felt this way about me. He's playing victim. I'm like, come on. You are an even bigger piece of crap. The fact is, you can, I mean, to be fair, you lied with a straight face the entire first season. Now, like, I guess, like, kind of shows you how much of a sociopath he is, that he can lie so well, you know? And he at moments makes it seem like he's remorseful, but his actions prove like he's super not remorseful because it's all about self-preservation for him, which I think people like that are probably the most dangerous. He might be even more dangerous than Neo when you actually think about it. I mean, when you actually think about it, he's a sociopath, with a badge, and literally the one cop who would be willing to take him down, who wouldn't have looked the other way with this situation, is dead now, which that's a whole thing, sad thing, because like Darnell gets released, he goes to check on her, but he knows this ain't, like, they made it look like a suicide, but he's like, I know she didn't kill herself. And obviously, and if he finds out, I wonder what's going to happen when he finds out like Neil was involved, and eventually maybe like he gets in contact with Murphy, and it's like Murphy explains like, Dean's the one behind all this. We're stuck working with Neil. I'm curious to see how that lane of situation is going to work. How that's going to play out. I mean, he might even start thinking like, he might not think Nia's responsible. He might be like, oh, Dean's the one because she was investigating him, so Dean ended up killing her. Like, that might be the lane they go down. Like I said, a lot of this is just obviously pure speculation. You also had that sad situation where, like, because Chloe didn't know about what was going on, so she's texting me like, "Oh, Jess, when my dad and Murphy are getting back, I bet you they're having like the best time ever." And Murphy was just like, "I want to cut ties with Chloe," because obviously she cares about Chloe, but it's like it's just gonna be a constant reminder of Dean and everything that he did. It's like she finally got justice for Tyson after everything, so for her, it's like she wanted to distance herself from Dean and everything related. She could finally breathe for the first time, but now she's kind of back to being almost suffocated by the fact is that not only is Dean going to get away with it, people cover this up for Dean, and it's just like, I'm curious. Well, I was about to say, I'm wondering as Clemens, that cop they talked to, because they were like, yeah, the number one thing playing in this city is trash, and I'm him being like, but it's not. It could be, and it's like, this is just a bag of trash. It's like, yep. Oh, well, we'll get out of your hair. It's like, part of me wonders, is Clemens going to become like a bigger thing? I don't, probably not. It's probably just a one thing, but I'm just like, oh, could that be like, once again, my brain just automatically firing off like, oh, is that going to be set up for something in the future in some shape or form? Probably not, but it was just, I love that whole little bit of like, oh, luckily Murphy was able to get there in time to be like, yeah, we kind of have to work for Nia. It's literally the only choice they have because they can't trust any other cops, especially if some of them are looking after Dean, giving him, leeway with all of this. And it's sad too because like Murphy was remembering that moment like after the crash, because I think for her it's like she felt that relief then after the accident. Like, I need to talk to a cop. It's like, okay, I got everything to take Dean down. Yes. And I think it's a reminder of that. And just after everything, and it's just like, she needed a smoke. It's just like, don't judge me, shut up, pretzel. It's one cigarette, so don't judge me, So it's just kind of. And then, like, obviously she wanted to tell Chloe the truth, and Jess was like, that's not a good idea. Like, don't blow up, Chloe's life just to get back at Dean, because it's like, Dean, the only thing that Dean has that's left that's important to him is his relationship with Chloe. And obviously, Murphy went over to do that, but Chloe was like, yeah, I know, but, I'm like his best friend, and he's mine. And obviously, for her, it's like she already lost her mom. She thought she would lose her dad too, and she couldn't handle that. And obviously because of hearing that because Murphy cares about Chloe. She doesn't want to like burn that bridge for Chloe. It's like, no matter how much of a piece of crap your dad is. So it's like, I'm curious to see how Murphy's going to handle that. Like, so, I mean, there's no other way to tie Dean to Tyson's murder because the recordings are going. Not unless the captain or something kept it as an insurance policy. Maybe. I don't know. But it just seems like it's completely gone, so there might not be any getting that back. And Dean's going to be careful from now on because he's not going to slip up about the whole Tyson thing. He's like, oh, you're never going to catch me in a vulnerable state. Like, that was her one shot, and she got it, but it was kind of like it didn't happen. No, it didn't happen. You're mistaken. So it's like, there's no catching Dean again with this whole situation. So it's like she might just kind of have to let it go, especially because it's like, it's that complicated thing of like, yes, she wants to be friends with Chloe, but she'll probably avoid being around Chloe because Dean will probably make it harder to be around him. Well, not probably, will definitely make it harder being around her, so she'll probably have to distance herself a little bit. But I'm wondering, will she try and build a case against him? Because if she does build a case against him and he goes away, all it's going to do is hurt Chloe. So it's like, because she feels like she's probably out of moves, she's probably not worried about that right now. She's too busy about this whole Nia situation of like laundering the money there in that regard. And obviously it's going to be interesting because I think in this season we're probably going to get more insight, because obviously we saw a lot of like behind the scene moves that Nia was making, but I think we're going to see obviously a lot more of that now that she's free and everything out front, because she ended up talking about Guiding Hope has to be like they're like, it's them kind of improvising right now because someone else kind of basically took up a lot of territory while she was locked up. So probably going to see a lot of like potential, I mean, maybe not a lot, but maybe potential fighting over territory type of situation, like her as well as another criminal. We'll kind of see whether that ends up becoming like a thing or not. Because I don't know if I don't know what you consider her, like a gang leader or something. She's a corrupt businesswoman. I guess that's how we will kind of label her. Like, I don't know what like her proper titling would be. And it's like, because I even love Jess being like, yeah, because I think, because Murphy was like, I think we can outsmart at Dean, so I can outsmart Nia. And Jess is like, I think Nia's going to be a lot harder to outsmart than Dean. And Felix being like, oh, because she's a woman, and Jess looks at him and is like, yes. I don't know whether that was a sarcastic yes or a very literal yes, or it could have actually been both a literal yes and a sarcastic yes, both at the same time. I feel like that could have gone anywhere. I think she was saying it seriously, like, well, yes, but also yes, so we'll see. What I also thought was interesting is I didn't talk about it, but like the cold opening where it's like, oh yeah, 1 month earlier. I was like, that's such an interesting thing because typically that's like, you know, a cold opening for an episode where it's like, 48 hours earlier, and then we cut to 48 hours earlier, and the entire episode leads up to that 48 hours later. So I'm assuming, I could be wrong, I doubt it's going to be like the very end of the season, that month period. It's probably going to come a lot sooner than we think it is. But that's definitely going to be interesting because at first it's like, okay, who's that person laying face down? Because at first you see the cigarette, I was like, is it supposed to imply that it's Murphy? But then they show you Murphy covered in blood. It's like, then immediately my brain was like, it's supposed to be Dean or something. But then we find out later on it's Chelsea's brother. And it's like, and Murphy's like, I can't believe you did that. So it's like, either her brother was bad and he was about to do something to Murphy and someone defended her, or it was either Nia's right hand, or Dean killing him to kind of prove a point of like, this is how it is. Don't you thought we were playing games? We're not. I'm assuming more so Nia or her right hand, because I don't think, well, it had to be her right hand person because like Nia never gets her hands directly dirty, so I'm assuming it's going to be that. But you know, like I said, we'll see. It's definitely going to be interesting because they also said like, you know, Murphy was like, we don't know how to launder money. So it's like, how are they going to handle that whole situation? It's like, well, the only person who was good at laundering money, Max, and maybe you could ask, I mean, not unless Darnell would know because he was there, you know, he probably knows the process as well. So they probably have to turn to Darnell for this, you know. Once again, it's just like all these different worlds colliding of like so many like plot points kind of happening at once. It's all connected, but I'm curious to see like how they fully connect because like not everyone is in the know about everything that's going down. You know, like I said, Darnell doesn't know that Dean is the one who killed Tyson, that he's responsible for killing Jules, but it wasn't actually him. It was actually Nia, who you went to work for, trying to get more responsibility because Jules, I mean, obviously like Nia didn't know about Jules and Darnell. Probably doesn't care anyway, so it wouldn't have cared anyway, but still it's like that's going to mess with Darnell's loyalty to Nia because of that. But like I said, that depends if they spin it to make it like, oh, he thinks Dean's the one that did it, and maybe Dean can turn Darnell against Nia, being like, no, she's the one who did it, like lying and being like, she thought that Jules was coming after Nia. So, and being like, once again, I think he's going to be the master manipulator this season, Dean, that he's going to manipulate a lot of stuff that kind of go in his favor. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how everything ends up playing out this season. I'm very excited to ultimately see where all this ends up taking us going forward into the next episode. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.